Welcome to the Astral Weather Report. I'm Jeremy Gene Wilson with the Light Army, and I come on here every 6 days to share with you the shifts and alignments with the cosmic and astrological weather that affect human behavior so that it's not an energy leak, a distraction, or confusion for you, that you know whether to zig, whether to zag, and I break things down into layman's terms, make it simple to understand how this influences you and how you can leverage this to your benefit. So, right away, let me just jump right into the mental and emotional forecast. This week, you might feel a bit of a tug of war, right? Whether you should be working hard to provide, to move closer to your goals versus the support of reciprocal return in your relationships and community. Are you having fun, right? It's that tug of war between work and play. So a lot of people might feel a little energetically drained this week, a little overwhelmed, a little overextended, and maybe a little unappreciated. And so in business, this might show up as taking on too much, overextending yourself without clear boundaries, without having a fair exchange, a fair agreement in place. And in families and groups, it might just be a projection of expectations on you to give more than you actually have energy to give, which can cause depletion and cause you to perform at a low level in every area of your life, right? You've got to have fuel in the tank to perform. So a little emotional test this week is just to be really clear where you're giving too much, but receiving not enough in exchange. The reason this is, and the cosmic influence is causing this, for one, the sun is moving into gate 40. So the neutrino stream is activating the gate of work, right? This is about creating resources. Some people call it the gate of loneliness though, because it is a pressure to provide. It is the energy of the classic workaholic, right? But the problem here and the energy that can lead to that feeling of loneliness is the things you're committed to, the work you're doing out of devotion versus obligation, right? And that can cause you to feel alone, even when you're with others. You could be revered, celebrated, affirmed deeply, but still feel alone when you're around others because of this constant pressure to create resources. So, you might have some thoughts, some feelings, some stress, some pressure, a little bit of loneliness, right? With that pressure, that pressure to create resources and to work. And so it's your job and a huge advantage for you this next 6 days to seek others to collaborate with love and joy, to expand your network. Whether that's a network you already have, going deep and expanding connection with people that you know could provide solutions, opportunities, leverage, ways that you can collaborate with them, and also go out and expand your network, right? Seek out those people, those missing pieces that would allow you to delegate, to grow, to buy some of your time back. The biggest thing with this energy is just to remember to set clear agreements, to set clear boundaries, right? Have a clear value exchange for the energy, the effort, the time, the money you're putting out to make sure that you don't feel a sense of imbalance or out of fairness. And most importantly, right, when we go, I just feel alone and I've got all this pressure. When support shows up, sometimes we can train ourselves to get used to that feeling and just tell ourselves, that's part of life, right? This is just how it is. You work and then you die. That's all bullshit. You've got to be open to receive. I know this is something I struggle with at times. Be open to receive love, be open to receive support. A lot of times it shows up and we don't actually express our gratitude and appreciation because we're not fully open. It makes us feel weak, like we need help, instead of just accepting, allowing, and being open to receive it. So this is paired, it creates a full circuit channel with the earth. Right now, the earth is moving into gate 37, which I like to call the gate of friendship. Some call it the gate of family, some people call it the gate of community, but you get the point. It's all about community. It's all about groups of people socially. And ultimately, this energy activates this desire to seek to create harmony and peace in our relationships, just to create harmony and peace in general, but especially for the tribe, whether that's your team, whether that's your family, your groups, your network. It's an energy that seeks to create harmony and peace. So we're really set up in a great place with these two energies coming together, because it allows us to move out of areas where there's independence and a little bit of cynicism, to each their own, into more of a state and a vibe of interdependence, right? Where giving begets giving, where support begets support, where we can work together and collaborate in fairness, right? So pay attention. Where are you investing time, energy, money, resources where it feels one-sided, right? Where it feels out of balance, because that's what you really want to do is you want to revisit clear agreements and set new commitments around those agreements where there's spoken or unspoken imbalances, where you know that there's a fairness that would allow you to give more of yourself, give your best to something at a higher capacity to the whole. So the number one way to leverage this energy this week, so it's not a distraction, it's not disruption, you're not just drained. So these energy leaks can be leveraged. Just say no without any explanation more, right? If you've already said yes to something that's leading to regret or resentment, say no to those things, whether that's setting a timeline to transition out of those commitments or pull off the Band-Aid entirely. This is a great time to say no. Practice it this week, right? Givers must set limits because takers rarely do. This cycle, this theme of the balance of work and community with both of these gates coming together, that's what it's about. It's about setting limits. This cycle is about finding clarity around expectations and agreements and restoring a harmonic balance between work and community. So the question is, where are you giving and how can you create more win-win scenarios, right? So set some new limits, but let me talk about this too, right? Because a lot of people, it's not necessarily just people and agreements externally. Sometimes it's your own agreements with yourself that you've created stories around. So I want you to understand this concept of minimum effective dose. I'll give you a few examples. One, meetings. Meetings is a huge one. How many times do you look at your calendar and you have meetings on there and you get to the meeting and the first 10 minutes of the meeting is, how's the weather? Did you see the haboob and the storm and the blah, 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 right? Be clear on outcomes. Get on a meeting and say, hey, the outcomes are for this call, or what are the outcomes for this call? And do everything you can to drive to those outcomes and close out the meeting. You don't need to have an hour block for a meeting. You don't need it 30 minutes. It's just about outcomes. A lot of meetings could be relegated and delegated or turned into emails or correspondence. You don't even need to meet. So my point is minimum effective dose. The same is true with parenting. I'll give you two examples. Both of these are very separate. Parenting. Sometimes we can feel guilt and shame, like we're not pouring enough of our energy and attention into our kids because we're working, and when we're not working, we want to recharge, we want to relax. But the truth is, when it comes to parenting or friendships, parenting's just a metaphor, but that's where if you're a parent, you can see it the most. Your kids do not need you to spend 3 hours with them or 5 hours with them. Sometimes a 10 or 20 minute block in a day is everything. Kids spell love T-I-M-E. They spell love T-I-M-E, time. Time is love to kids, and they measure its quality by your presence. If you spend 10 or 20 minutes with one of your children or with one of your friends or a team member, but you're fully present, you're not on your phone, you're not checking the weather, you're just fully there, you're engaged with all of your senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, then sometimes that 10 or 20 minutes is enough to fill the cup for days or weeks, and some friends even for months on end. So just remember that. Also with parenting or as a leader, when reprimand is required, course correction, corrective discipline is required, remember, you do not need to beat a dead horse. Here's what happened. Here's what we expected. That didn't happen. Here's the consequence. Here's the reward when it happens. Do you agree? Make sure there's an agreement. End of story. Minimum effective dose. Why did you do that? And why didn't this happen? And this is minimum effective dose, right? So final example, because these are all metaphors for you to understand, like you don't have to overgive. You can give just enough to achieve an outcome. This concept of minimum effective dose is obvious when it comes to like supplements and medicine. Because if you dose yourself too high in a supplement or on medicine, it can cause damage. And the body only has an ability for maximum absorption. And that's why we take this stuff every day. So think about that. Same when you're going to the gym. If you overtrain, you overwork out, it depletes your energy instead of energizes you. So sometimes we just need to revisit our habits, our agreements, our commitments, and go, hey, maybe this just needs to be minimum effective dose. I don't need to delete this. I just need to reduce this. That's the best way this week to leverage this energy. But if you really want to gain, you really want to grow, just put clear agreements in place. Any area in your life that you don't have current structure, organizational, operational agreements, whether it's personally or professionally, revisit that. It doesn't always have to be a conversation. Agree with yourself. This is a perfect time to revisit your values. What do you want? What do you value the most? What is your vision for your life, for your business, for your network, for the time you spend with your family? What is your mission that's going to accomplish that? And what are the goals and the tasks and the timeline to achieve that. Revisit that, because it's a great opportunity to reset, create an actual personal or family constitution, or inside your business. What is our vision? What is our mission? How do we do that? How do we create that? How do we make that real? And sign a pledge. Here's the behaviors. Here's the things I'll do. Here's the things I won't do. Here's the areas I will bend, I will stretch. Here's the areas there's zero tolerance, 100% absolute. Just set some clear agreements with yourself, right? Do a little bit of an energy audit with your clients, with your team, with your family, with your habits. In fact, if you want in a more in-depth energy audit, at lightarmy.com, that's lightarmy.com/energetics. We've put together an amazing thing called the Inner Energetics Report. You can go over there. It takes about 2 minutes. You put in your birth date, you fill out a few survey questions. We've programmed an AI thought partner with hundreds of hours of my training, and also an understanding of the base core of modern astrology using North Node specifically to help you understand where your common energy leaks are. And we'll send you a custom email to tell you exactly what you can do to increase your energy capacity immediately. But outside of that, just really audit your circle, audit your habits, audit how you're spending your time on your calendar, audit how you're spending your money, and find ways that you can, addition by subtraction, reduce, reuse, ultimately leverage your highest and best time, energy, money. Anyway, some high ROI habits for this week, outside of just doing an energy audit, running a little inventory on what's draining you versus what's charging you, is just reset one boundary this week. Say no, right, to things that are draining you. Addition by subtraction. If you want more energy, it's usually not do more stuff. Yes, there are some things I'll share in a moment you can do to increase your energy, but it usually comes down to who are the people that drain you every time you talk to them? What are the habits? What is your eating cycles, your sleep cycles, your content consumption habits? What can you reset this week? Maybe you set some screen time boundaries to limit your doom scrolling. Maybe it's you say no to certain people, certain clients. Maybe you have some people in your life that are removing your energy, right? Maybe they talk about circumstances, the news, drama, things you're really not invested in. It drains you. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail, but just really reset your boundaries, at least one this week. Schedule one recharge as well, right? A lot of times we know what to do, we know what we shouldn't be doing, and ultimately we're just lacking the willpower, the motivation, the drive. So if you have some habits right now that you know are draining you, that you cannot walk away from, what's one thing that you could do either daily or weekly that will recharge your motivation, your drive, your willpower? And I'll just throw this one in as well. Active listen. Get back into the practice of active listening. If you're not familiar with active listening, my favorite process is ask, listen, clarify, confirm. Make sure that when you're like, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? They ask, listen, clarify, confirm. Oh, you want chicken or beef? Oh, I'm fine with beef. All right, beef then. If you can just clarify and confirm faster, it helps arrive at decisions. It helps the group not just have more consensus, but more understanding of why behind the outcomes. Clarify and confirm when you're active listening. And I would just say this, some prompts for this week, a few soul prompts. One, just where are you overgiving? Where am I overgiving without fair exchange? Or it's time, energy, money, resources. Maybe it's your own habits and it's just not giving you a return. Maybe it's people, but where are you overgiving without a fair exchange? Second, how can you restore balance between work and your community? Whether that community is your friends, your network, your family, right? How can you restore balance so it doesn't all feel for naught? So it doesn't feel like you're doing it for nothing just to create resources out of obligation versus devotion, right? How can you restore balance between work and community? All work and no play makes you dull, but you should definitely really visit this, take it seriously, and ask yourself, what does true rest look like to you? A lot of people, rest comes when necessary, when you're burned out. And that's the least effective rest you're ever going to get, right? What brings your energy up? What kind of rest actually restores you? Restoration, that's what rest means, right? Sometimes we're like, I'm going to sit on the couch, watch a show, watch a movie tonight, or scroll our phones. Little things like that, or get on social media and start comparing yourself to others, or look at funnels, whatever that might be. What is it in your life that you can equate to true rest? Is it getting out in nature? Is it spending time with the ones you love? Maybe it's a massage. Maybe it's going to the float center. Maybe it's listening to some calming music, putting on an eye mask. I just want to share with you, that concept that God built the earth in 6 days, but he did not take Sunday off because he was tired and burnt out. He took Sunday off because the work was done. And that's what true rest to me is. When I have that sense of relief, I have a deep feeling of completion, that the work is done. That to me is what true rest is. So get clear with yourself what true rest is and make a few commitments this week. That concludes this next 6 days Astral weather report. I'll see you here in another 6 days. If you want to know more about what it looks like to work more closely together, we have one-on-one programs and group programs we're releasing. Reach out to me, Jeremy Eugene Wilson on Instagram, or whoever invited you to watch this. We also this week are launching an inner world navigation. It's a little guided visualization meditation that goes along with this current energy theme so that you can deeper embed in your subconscious this concept, this theme of creating balance between work and community. So if you want to know more about that, have access to that, that'll be in our free community. You can reach out to me. I'll give you access to it as well, or the person that invited you here. And in the next 2 weeks, we're also launching the Breakthrough Lab, where you can come and learn how to make more money, find more love, and feel a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in your life through trainings. So once a week, we're going to offer you training on business or breakthrough. You'll learn how to make more money, marketing, sales, branding, fulfillment, recruiting, systems, scaling your company, automations, technology, all of it from the basics to the most advanced. And we'll be cycling in between breakthrough. So if you want to upgrade your mindsets, let go of limiting beliefs that are holding you back, improve your self-worth, your self-image, your self-identity, access more self-love, increase and improve the quality of your relationships, and just tap into a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, both personally and professionally. We're going to give you a training 20-30 minutes long each week with a 20 to 30 minute or even longer Q&A and hot seat session so that you can individually integrate these trainings into your life. If you want to know more, shoot me a message, DM me, and I'll make sure that you're on the waiting list as we launch that. In the meantime, just remember what you are. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. It doesn't matter if you believe in spirit or soul. Beyond what you see with your eyes, we're all transmitting this electrical field, this energy field, and that's what you are. You are the soul that inhabits you. So remember that this week. You are the light. Infinite love. Shine on. Bye for now.